How did Josie Coffee come to be? What's it really like to buy a coffee roaster from Germany? And why are the farmers markets a great place to promote your business? If you'd like to find out, then you're in the right place. Welcome to Between Views. I'm your host, Alec Koski. This podcast aims to cast light on and connect you with inspirational people, identify them as potential mentors in your journey, and share their stories and wisdom with the world, all the while learning about early business and its dynamics. In this episode, we converse with Chris Edden about the birth and story of Josie Coffee and what it's like learning to be a roaster. Hope you enjoy.
Welcome to Between Views. Many years ago, my cousin and I's passion for coffee was ignited. The initial spark was being taken under the wing of Greg and Chris in the roastery at Josie. Greg and Chris have since provided us with years worth of premium specialty coffee and many lessons within the coffee and roasting world. At one point, we found ourselves so inspired we bought a roaster of our own. Today with us, we're fortunate enough to have Chris on Between Views. Chris is the owner and mastermind behind Josie Coffee. He's a manager of many, an intelligent and fast-moving businessman, and has an exceptional knowledge of coffee and its processing from farm to cup. He also has a passion for drift and street cars. One thing I admire about Chris is his ability to organise business and people to create a product that is truly noteworthy. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you. It's quite an introduction.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
No worries.
So we'll jump right in. So, Josie Coffee, where did it all start and where you headed with it?
Where did it start? 2016, it kicked off. I guess it, like, kind of a precursor to that. Before it started purely as a hobby, really, and it wasn't Josie Coffee. I always had an interest in coffee. I never worked in coffee. I always wanted to kind of get a coffee machine. I always loved it. I'd kind of walk through department stores and stuff and look at coffee machines and like, I should get a coffee machine. But we lived in a house in town. We didn't have a very good kitchen. Like it sucked. There was no room, so I just had like a pod machine and kind of done that. But I'd like go out for coffee and stuff. But I wasn't like heaps into coffee. Not that I think specialty coffee was particularly big. So this is probably like 2010 sort of thing. And then we bought a new house in 2015 and bigger kitchen stuff. I was like, before we even moved in, I was like, I'm buying a coffee machine. So I got
space for the machine.
Got on eBay and I bought I spoke to a few buddies who were into coffee and I got a Rancilio Silvia.
Okay.
And I bought that and I bought a little grinder. And immediately I was like, this is sick. I really like it. I was just punching through coffee and wasting heaps of coffee trying to dial in machines and stuff. And I really liked it. And that was around the time of a forum called Coffee Snobs was pretty big.
Oh yeah, I've been on Coffee Snobs.
Yeah, and I was into that and brewing and stuff. And then I ended up, I quickly got sick of the Silvia with the dual boiler, trying to steam milk and stuff. Without a dual boiler, it was just like the single boiler. It was pretty frustrating. I was like, I want to get a better machine. I bought a little ECM heat exchanger machine. Got that and I was really into it. I'd done like a coffee course, which was, whatever, like most coffee courses you do, they're pretty average.
Oh yeah?
I done that and it was fun. And then there was heaps of guys talking about roasting on Coffee Snobs. And they were like, it was a big thing. They were all mainly roasting on the Baymore Brazens. I think they were Baymore Brazens 1600. Heaps of guys had them. And like they sold beans and stuff on Coffee Snobs. So I was like, maybe I'll get a roaster. It's kind of like I'm spending like a fair bit of money on buying beans and stuff. Maybe I can do this. I feel like I've always got a pretty entrepreneurial mind, but it was never with the idea of like, I'm going to start a business. It was more like, I can do this and I can roast my coffee myself.
Just enjoyed it.
Yeah, so I got the roaster and it was cool and I enjoyed it and the coffee I thought tasted pretty good. And then I had some friends with coffee machines. I was like, hey, like, do you just want to just get some beans? And like I had a little hustle on the side going. Like very small and I don't know if you've ever roasted with one of these Baymores or seen one, but
is it what style of roaster is it?
It's like a little toaster oven thing and it spins and chaff and shit just goes everywhere.
It is a drum roaster or no?
Oh no, it's like a little microwave thing with like a spinning like a little spinning basket, and the beans just tumble around and it just pushes hot air through it.
Yeah, right.
And anyway, so it was, I was sort of mucking around with that. And then there was like a Peabury's coffee, years, so this was like 2015. They had like some open day or whatever, and you could do some roasting there and stuff. I went and done that with them, and they had like a little 1 kilo roaster. I'd done some. There was like a little competition thing, and I won that, but it wasn't exactly.
You won on the BAM or?
No, it was on the. They had their roaster. You had to roast on it, but it wasn't exactly. I wouldn't say it's an accolade because no one there had ever roasted coffee, and I had like a little bit of idea.
Yeah. No medal or anything to hang on.
I got there was a little trophy, but I didn't get to keep it, which
that's
sucked.
an accolade.
Anyway, there's a photo somewhere on my Instagram, and anyway, I was like, oh, this is cool. I could probably do this. And I was kind of like, it kind of sparked a little bit of something. Like, I could maybe do like a little e-com store or something. I had a business. I was in a business a few years prior where I was like a kind of a minor shareholder in a retail sort of store, but it didn't work out well. It was just friends and business and kind of.
Friends and business doesn't mix?
No. So I kind of learnt that, but I always had probably had an interest in doing a business. At the time, I was in the police. I'd been in the police for like 10 years, so I was full time doing that. And coffee was just a hobby. So I sort of, I done that, and it kind of sparked something like, I could probably do something here. Maybe I could do a little coffee store. So I thought about, doing this, and I guess backtracking in the months prior to that, Josie had died.
Josie is your sister?
Josie is my cousin. So her dad and my dad are brothers. Josie worked in coffee in Melbourne. She when she died, she was working for Code Black Coffee Roasters. And she lived in Melbourne for a fair while, for it would have been probably 3 or 4 years, I'd imagine. And anyway, she was killed. She was running to work early in the morning, and a traffic accident. She was a pedestrian traffic accident and was killed. It was just absolutely
total random.
Absolutely, it's horrible. It's my auntie and uncle's only child on my uncle's birthday.
Oh my gosh.
It's like the absolute epitome of a tragedy. So that has created a vacuum in a lot of people's lives, but obviously my auntie and uncle just will never ever get over
recover from that.
No, it's horrible. So that had sort of happened in the lead up to this, and I was sort of thinking of names to call the business, and then there's sort of a bit of talk about maybe doing something for Josie. So I spoke to my auntie and uncle and said, hey, this is what I'm thinking about doing. What do you think? Like, I want to call it Josie. And they were really, kind of open to it and happy. So that was a design, that was the sort of idea. We'd do that. My wife's a graphic designer. She designed the logo, which is Josie's face. So that all kind of happened, and so we decided to do a basic e-com store. I bought a little bit bigger roaster. I bought like a little 1 kilo, it was a 2 kilo gas roaster. I bought it on eBay from it was new, but like from some Chinese guy in Sydney. We had to go pick it up from the port. It was like,
oh really?
Oh yeah, it was wild.
Oh wow.
It's like $8,000 or $7,200. I think.
The roasting underground.
Yeah, so I had it.
The Alibaba.
And I had it like flued and stuff at home. It was just heaps sketchy. It was running off a little.
Flued?
Oh, I'd use the word flued loosely. It like flued out the side of my house with like a flexi flue and stuff, but it like filled my house full of smoke. I have like an area under my house, so that kind of happened, and that was, and all this was pretty quick. Like I started roasting coffee at home in like late December, like late 2015, and then this is like. I started Josie in like June 2016 or something. So it all happened pretty quick. And then, so I roasted some coffee at home, and then e-com store, and it got decent traction. People were buying stuff. I was pretty happy just ticking along.
What were you selling through at that time?
Shopify.
Okay.
I had a Shopify website. And yeah, everything just e-com, selling beans and stuff. And I was working full time, and yeah, I'd be like fulfilling orders, and Fastway come to my house, and like if someone put an order in at 8 o'clock at night, I'd run down and fulfill it and put it out in the box outside, and they'd get it. So I was like super efficient, making sure it was really good.
You would have been really busy.
Yeah.
At that point.
Yeah.
With full-time work and business.
Shift work.
Yeah. How do you manage that as you're going along? Like, how did you manage having a full-time job and basically starting up your business? Because your day's very full at that point.
I just lived and breathed it.
Okay.
I'm pretty full on as a person. If I'm into something, I'm into it. And I was just full speed.
Yeah.
Just, punching socials and making sure orders and stuff were like bang on. So yeah, good customer experience, I guess, good customer service. And then my auntie and uncle caught up for dinner with Joseph, who owns Code Black. They still do keep in contact with him and catch up with him when they go to Melbourne. But at this time it wasn't super long after. And they had dinner with Joseph in Melbourne, and they were talking to him about what I was sort of doing and stuff. And he was like, oh, does he want to come down and do some roasting at Code Black and have spend some time with Alan, our head roaster? And I was like, yeah, cool. So I flew to Melbourne.
And that was where Josie worked?
Yes, in Brunswick.
So they took you on?
Yeah, I just went down for the day, just to go down and see what was sort of happening.
Yes.
So anyway, I went down, flew, got a red eye to Melbourne, and went to Brunswick, spent the day there roasting, and it was just like, this is sick. I love it. They had a really cool roastery, Probats and just all the things. And I was like, this is awesome. So by the end of that day, I was like, okay, I want to go buy a Probat UG15. I want to do all the things.
Yeah. So you sort of saw how much kit was involved in coffee.
Oh yeah, but it was just like, this is sick. I love it. This is really cool.
Yeah.
So I decided, I'm going to do some wholesale. I'm going to buy a bigger roaster and that sort of thing. I pretty quickly realised that I couldn't afford a Probat or anything. It was just too much money.
How much were Probats going for at the time?
It depends on what it was, but I wanted to get a vintage UG, so it would have been 80 to 100k.
Yeah, which in a weird way is kind of the standard, I understand, right? Like the older Probats are actually still just as good as anything that runs through today.
Yeah,
right?
They're very popular. They're very aesthetic.
Yeah. German made, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The oldest roasting manufacturer in the world. So I decided, I kind of went back and forth and looking around and stuff, and I was like, yeah, no, this isn't going to work. So I ended up getting a Husqvarna 15 kilo roaster. It was like $18,000 or something. And then this whole shed here where Josie Coffee is, my brother used to own it. He used to build kitchens downstairs. So this room wasn't even here. This was just a mezzanine, and there was just crap everywhere.
Yeah,
it was just all sorts of stuff.
Okay.
Decided that we'd build this room, and I'd rent some space off him and put a roaster in here. So there was a roaster in here. I'll let you wear those.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
up.
True.
And I'd done everything properly. I had it all certified. I had it food authority approved. I actually done things all legit. Anyway, and then I'd kind of borrowed a bit of money for doing house renovations, and I just ended up taking a bit of that money and doing this. And then I just kind of picked up a bit of wholesale, which was really good. And then it was just kind of growing, and I had really good momentum. So I think the roaster went in here in November or something, 2016. And then by the April 2017, I got out of the cops.
Okay. You were a police officer before?
Yeah, for 11 years.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So.
Would you say that was fairly helpful in pushing forward Josie?
Financially, it was.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a good income that could supplement what I was trying to do, because I wasn't taking any money from Josie. I was living off the other income to support what I was trying to do, because it just is a money pit for a long time to just build to what it is, and then it just flowed from there.
Yeah, I've heard that at the start of any kind of business, there's that big period of just so much hustle and not much return, and just diving in, throwing cash and energy into it. How long was the period for you of that
sort of middle ground between where you had your dream and your idea and where things really started happening?
I guess it's kind of just grown along the way. I had the Hascaranti in here, and I was roasting, and then it kind of got to the point I was like, I'm going to outgrow this space. My brother was kind of changing direction in what he was doing with his business, so we kind of came to an agreement, and I was going to rent the whole shed. So I started renting downstairs, and then the Hascaranti moved downstairs, got set up down there. And I don't know how long it was, maybe, and around this time is when Greg kind of came into the fold of working here. And in the background of all of this, I was looking to buy the shed. And I was, in the background of all this, financing to buy roasters, to buy some Probat roasters. So I organised to buy a 22 kilo Probat from Germany, which was like a retro roaster. So they're the new ones, but they looked old from Probat. So I ordered that, and I mean that was a bit of a debacle, just organising a roaster from Germany, dealing with Germany for people that don't really speak English, and I don't speak German. That was kind of happening. And just like driving the business, trying to get wholesale, around this time when I kind of got out of the cops and doing this full time, I found myself into doing markets. We're doing farmers markets, and that ended up growing to be a pretty big thing. And that was just like bankrolling Josie.
Yeah. So the farmers markets was like a key move for you.
I think so. I mean, it was a good retail space. It got our name out there.
Yeah.
I was doing wholesale too. Like we were punching a bit of wholesale, but it was a good outlet because I had no physical outlets. So going through the farmers markets, I had various staff working for me, just mates, really, like
just anyone who would sign up with you for a
pretty
bit.
much, And
what about Greg? When did Greg come into the mix?
I met Greg when I was in the cops. I would say to be like 2016 or something. I just not long started Josie, and I just went into One Penny Black when he used to work there, and I pretty quickly established that Greg was pretty unique. Very passionate. And I gave him some coffee. I was like, hey, want to try this coffee? And he tried it, and he was like, it's okay. It's just Greg. He wasn't going to piss in my pocket. And then, we just sort of became friends, really. We went to coffee events and stuff together. And I like I said, I quickly established that Greg was very smart, driven, good.
Yeah, incredibly.
We're on the same page, and I was like, I'd said to him like, hey, like I want you to come work for me. So that was a bit of a thing. He was working. He went to Estebar afterwards, and he was working there as the head barista. And Greg at the time had two young girls. He had stuff going on and financial things, and he was still doing sound engineering and stuff. Yeah. So it was kind of, it was a process. It was a big thing for me to take a staff member on. We kind of came to a thing, and I guess I could offer him like a bit more financial stability and work-life stability, because he was still like just working in hospitality, bouncing around in rosters and stuff. We came to an agreement, and he came to work at Josie. He was doing like a bit of part-time in maybe from like late 2017 or something, and he came on full-time I think it was mid 2018. When we got the roasters, basically the roasters landed when my eldest daughter was born, and that was just
So you had more than one baby.
I have two girls.
But also the roasters.
And those roasters are gone now. So we have a new roaster. But it was like, it was insane getting these roasters from Germany. Well, one of them, they're both Probats. One of them was from Sydney. It was used, but the other one was from Germany, and it was just a freaking circus.
Big process.
Oh yeah, like it turned up in a shipping container, and just a shipping container turned up, and it's like, get it out. And it was like, in a massive, massive crate, and it's like literally just take this thing out and no one's going to help you. So we had like 2 forklifts and trying to pull it out, and it was an absolute circus.
Fortunately, you're in the industrial area, right? Probably wasn't the hardest thing to organise.
Yeah, but it was a lot, and then basically no instructions, put this thing together. But yeah, we got there, and and then I guess over the next couple of years, it was then getting a cafe here and building that, and going through council approvals and so many things, so much money, so much effort, nasty people that want to object things, and it was a circus. And like the cafe that you see down there now is not what was there. It was a kitchen showroom, but there was no sewer. Well, there's no water, no waste anywhere on that side of the shed.
Oh, really?
All of it was on this side, so the whole floor got cut up. The whole shed has been like epoxy sealed and coved, and it's all to stand. It was a big thing. A lot of money, a lot of time, effort, all those things. So it's I guess it's a long way around, but saying I feel like the business changed a bit and got a lot more traction and stuff. I think when the bar opened here, it obviously helped. It helped a lot. Just of having that more of a presence. We were at the farmers markets, but this was a different thing. A bricks and mortar store that looked really cool. And
that's my first memory of Josie, was at the farmers markets. I remember walking in and seeing the biggest line out of any
50
of the
deep,
stalls, like 50 deep.
Tearing shreds off people in the line.
And I was like, I better line up for this. This has got to be good coffee. It's that effect where the line makes it look really good, but the reason that people were lining up, I quickly discovered, was that the coffee was incredible. And the amount of times that I've endorsed Josie to other people, like around anywhere in the world, when I've been traveling, when I've been anywhere else, it's just amazing, because my cousin and I, after being taken under Greg's wing that one day, was so impressed by coffee and how it all works. Similar to, I guess, when you walked into Code Black. And just tasting the quality of it here, you really were like our gateway filter people. Like you definitely destroyed our bank accounts with getting us into filter coffee. But
I apologise.
I'll tell you what, I don't care one bit, because I'm really happy that I can drink amazing coffee every day. It's good. Like you get to have a delicious, it's almost like having wine in the morning, it's like a health beer. You can have it at the start of the day.
But the markets was a good time. It was a different time for me. Josie Coffee has been out of markets. I think it was end of 2020 we pulled the pin. Just really from a we didn't have space in the roastery for the caravan anymore, and it was just getting too much. We had the cafe, was opening 7 days a week. I was managing staff, and I feel like the markets, with that, the markets was contingent on me, really. And I had a young daughter, and it was just getting to the point where I was like, look, this is too much. It was good financially, the markets, but I guess I just made the decision, like, this is getting a bit too much. Let's focus on the cafes. And then Greg has since, there was probably 12 months where we were away from the markets, and then the markets kind of reached out to me afterwards and were like, hey, can you kind of come back? And I was like, no, I'm not coming back. And then Greg, I guess it kind of ignited a thing with him and his wife Sarah. They were like, well, maybe we should do it. And they
Soapbox, is that Soapbox now?
Yeah. So that they were looking to renovate their house and stuff and get a bit of extra income. So they were like, they bought a van. And they are now doing the markets and have been for a couple of years. So, I think a lot of people in some ways still think that it's like Josie Coffee at the markets, but it is in a way, but it's not us. It's Soapbox Coffee, which is Greg, who is the head roaster and head of coffee at Josie. But that's his side hustle, I guess. So,
So what I'm hearing is, as things grow, you need to be really conscious of how much focus, energy, and money you're putting into things, and understanding when you've got too much on. And from what I can see is there's two options there. You can either add more people to help you manage that, or you can just go, this actually isn't as valuable to us, and we're going to just take it out. For now, we're going to focus on this. So reshifting focus. But one big thing about having a business, obviously, is managing people. You brought Greg on, and from what I understand, he's done a pretty decent shift with you.
Yeah.
He helped you shift the business a bit and change. Did it change anything majorly when Greg came? Did you notice that there was any kind of dynamic change?
Like Greg, Greg is pretty intense with coffee. He definitely he loves it. He lives and breathes it. He's very smart. So I guess Greg definitely helped elevate the coffee at Josie. He's got a good palate, and he's just Greg. He's nuts. He
lives for
when
it.
he's into something, he's nuts into it. He's researching everything and going crazy. So he's definitely very much helped elevate the coffee at Josie.
Okay.
As there has been other people as well. But I mean, he's been massive in that.
Okay.
In that. So I think then other things like, I mean, Greg, he's been, almost here from the start. So a lot of the decisions around things, I'm always bouncing stuff.
Okay.
Off Greg and other core people here, but he's been very integral at Josie for sure.
Okay, helped you out a lot.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have to get more and more people for your business. You've got 2 shops now as well, one out at Mayfield, and when you're looking for someone to work at Josie, what is it that you're looking for? So as you bring people in, what type of person are you looking for?
I mean, it's always good if you can get people with experience, but that's hard. Especially kind of post-COVID, finding good experienced people is tough.
Yeah.
But I think that for us, it's more important to have good people, and people that can communicate and are going to fit in the team is more important than good skills. Like if someone's a really good barista, but they're a dickhead, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
So I think at the core, they must be good people and fit in that side of stuff, and then we can kind of mold them. It's either going to, like I say to people, when they come on here, I'm like, you're either going to really like working here or you're going to hate it. If you kind of fit our mold and you're teachable and you can follow the guidelines of the way we want to do things, you'll really like it. But if you kind of want to just come in here and do your own thing and be like, oh no, like this is how I've always made coffee, I'm going to do it like that, well, that's not going to work. Okay. We kind of do things a certain way that we've, I guess that we've found that works for us, and through systems, we're very systems driven, but we have a way of doing things which we think is the most efficient and best practice, and until someone can kind of change our mind about that, that's the way we're going to do it, and there's no kind of shifting from that. Not to say that we're rigid. If someone comes along and says, hey, like, I think this is a better way of doing this, and they can actually show that it is, cool, we're happy to do it. But we kind of do things a certain way. Okay. Very big on, as Greg says, mise en place, of just everything has its place. It's like kitchens and, commercial kitchens and cooking, of like, just everything has its place and
everyone does their job.
Yeah, just making sure that things are in the right spot, so that way, like the cloths and stuff in the bar, this cloth sits here, this cloth sits here, so then there's nothing's out of place, and everything knows where you're going to find it. Like the lids and stuff, they sit there, this sits here, so that way anyone can just jump on bar and it's all natural. It's not like, when Alec works at the bar, he has the jugs here. It's just like, that's where the jugs sit. It's where they always sit. This sits here, this sits here, this sits here.
Okay, so everyone needs to fit the mold.
Yeah. Just like trying to like McDonald's as much as possible in the best possible way. It's just like systems, and the cafes are like low staff, efficient, speed of service. So it's keeping things in as much structure as possible. Because if you have good structure and you're efficient, well, that allows you to have the customer service. Okay. If you're frazzled and shit's going sideways and it's messy, it's pretty hard to be relaxed and have that good customer service. So
having an efficient structure frees your people up to talk to your customers, which makes a warmer environment, more inviting. Yeah. It creates a good community inside the...
Pretty hard to have good banter with people and be, casual and have a good chat with people when the bar's a mess and
So there's some
You're not
values
efficient.
that you would put in, say, a big part of Josie.
Yeah. We just like to keep things pretty casual.
Okay.
Make it look casual and do those things, but like it's not casual.
Okay.
It's like the standards are there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it can only be casual when the stuff's being done and done properly, because that, when you're efficient, you've got time to give good service and that. But if you're, like I said, if you've got your ass hanging out and you're behind on stuff and you're frazzled, it's pretty hard to have a good chat to someone. Where like you watch Greg in the bar or anything, when we were at the markets and stuff, we'd just be absolutely shredding and we're just making jokes and having a laugh and stuff. But that only comes through being efficient and being on top of stuff and having good systems. Just time and practice and just having structure and systems rather than just being like, just do whatever.
Speaking of structure and systems and efficiency, you have a pretty exceptional way of brewing coffee in Josie. You have the mod bar. Do you want to tell everyone about the mod bar a little bit?
So that is the espresso machine we have in the bar at Gateshead, which is the main bar, I guess, where the roastery is. I guess the process, like mod bars, they're like taps, beer taps kind of thing, and the machine is kind of deconstructed and the parts sit under the bar. It allows, I guess, for kind of better service because there's not a big coffee machine on the bar to kind of hide behind. So that's what we decided to do when we built the bar here, and it's cool, but it was definitely a circus. It was so much planning and executing to make that happen. It was a lot into a stone bar.
True, because you got to cut it just right the first time. Yeah,
stone is very rigid and there's all these little guide holes and stuff. So that was a lot. It was a lot to make all that happen. But it turned out really good. It does look. It's very cool. It's very interesting. But effectively, it is just a coffee machine with 2 group heads, 2 steam wands, and we have a juggler system for milk dispensing, which kind of sits in the middle of the 2 steam wands.
Okay.
The machine is kind of as much hands-off brewing and stuff as possible with the steam wands and stuff. We don't want the baristas kind of sitting there holding jugs. We'll kind of put them on the tray and just to be as efficient as possible.
Okay, cool. So once again, bringing out that efficiency. Also something very different. I think when people walk into a shop and they don't see the traditional coffee machine there, they're like, where's my coffee come from?
Yeah. So we have a tap for our batch brew and stuff, which is another thing that Greg's designed, which heats it all, and there's all sorts of stuff to stop the coffee from aging and oxidizing. There's cool stuff, and we also have a mod bar filter brewer, which brewed the coffee we drank this morning. Which is really cool. Just expensive toys that look cool. Are they worth it? Who knows? But they look cool, and it's a really nice showcase.
A risk you're willing to take.
I just like to try and do cool shit and see if people like it. They like it. So
there you go. So there's a lot of trial and error in the business.
Thank you for listening to part 1 of our interview with Chris. If you enjoyed what you heard, please jump over to @Josie Coffee and give them a follow. You'll never regret trying coffee from Josie. It's a product I've used for years and will continue to do so. Secondly, if you listen regularly and want to hear more, then please help us out by leaving a star rating and comment, and we can continue to bring you more and more episodes. Remember to like or share it with a friend if it reminds you of them, and leave a review in the section below. Or if you really found the information valuable, you're welcome to purchase me a scrumptious cup of Make More Podcast Juice at buymeacoffee.com/betweenviews. I'll probably put this one towards some Josie Coffee. In other news, Between Views is looking for collaborators on Instagram, social media, product development and marketing. If you want to join the team for this or anything else, then please reach out to us on Instagram. Until then, thanks so much. If you think that you know someone who needs to be interviewed or just have some feedback, then give us a message on Instagram. See you soon, Between Views.